India is currently sitting on a massive untapped gold mine. It is an industry capable of creating millions of jobs, building thousands of local factories, and generating massive tax revenues for the government. But instead of taxing and regulating this industry, the Indian government has almost entirely banned it. I am talking about the car modification industry. Right now, if you purchase a car in India and change its exhaust, upsize the engine, or alter the body structure, you are breaking the law. The police can seize your vehicle and you can face heavy fines. On the surface, government's reason is simple. They say modified cars are dangerous to the public and harmful to the environment. But hiding behind that safety argument is an incredibly expensive mistake and frankly, a lot of hypocrisy. By banning car modifications, India is forcing a highly profitable industry into underground black market. We are losing billions to imported, uncertified parts while other countries use car culture to print money. In this highly detailed video, we are going to look at the exact mathematics of the global modification market. Then we are going to expose a massive double standards regarding the government's current environmental policies, specifically the ethanol blending mandate that is actively destroying millions of Indian cars right now. We will look at the unknown facts about how the modification ban is cursing poor street vendors and startup founders. And finally, I will reveal my blueprint that the government can use tomorrow to keep the roads entirely safe while letting car enthusiasts build the machines of their dream. To understand what India is losing, you have to look at how rest of the world makes money from car enthusiasts. The global automotive aftermarket, which includes everything from replacement parts to high-end tuning machines, has valued over 400 billion in 2025 and is projected to hit 600 billion by 2034. Let us look at United States. They have a dedicated specialty equipment market. The sector only deals with the performance tuning, lift kits, custom wheels and visual accessories. That specific niche alone creates a 337 billion economic impact on American economic every single year. It supports 1.3 million jobs. In fact, American consumers spent over 62 billion just accessorizing their car in 2025. Other countries do not ban modifications, they build highly profitable systems to control them. Take Germany for example. Germany has some of the strictest road laws on the planet, but they have massive tuning culture. How? They use a system called TUV and STVZO regulations. If a German car enthusiast wants to add a custom body kit or performance parts, they must buy a component that has a government approved certification called ABE. If the part is extremely custom, the driver has to hire a government approved engineer to physically inspect the car. The driver pays anywhere between £80 to £250 out of their own pocket for the inspection. This creates thousands of high-paying engineering jobs and government guarantees the parts are safe. Japan does the same thing. They use a strict inspection system called Shaken, which happens every 2 years. They check everything from emission to structural integrity. As long as your modified exhaust or engine can pass the brutal test, it is 100% legal to drive. Passing this test often costs over 1 lakh yen, which pumps huge amounts of money directly into the local mechanic and service industry. Now, let's look at India. The Indian auto parts aftermarket reached 17 billion in 2025. It is growing incredibly fast, but almost all the money is spent on boring, routine maintenance and crash repairs. Because performance tuning and structural modifications are illegal, India is completely missing out on the high margin specialty equipment sector. If the government simply regulated these parts, local Indian factories would start manufacturing high quality suspension systems, aerodynamic kits and exhaust. Instead, because it is banned, people just buy cheap, smuggled, uncertified parts on the black market and the government collects zero tax. But the government claims they banned modifications to protect the environment and save the engines of our cars. Let us look at how completely flawed that logic is. The Indian government strongly defends the ban on aftermarket modifications by claiming they care deeply about vehicle reliability and environmental pollution. Yet, at the exact moment, the government is forcefully pushing a policy that contradicts both of these claims. The ethanol blending program. The government has mandated E20 fuel, which means petrol is mixed with 20% ethanol. They are even planning to push for E85 and E100 fuels in the future. They claim this will reduce crude oil imports and save foreign exchange. But here is the brutal reality that no one tells you. First, let's look at your engine. Nearly 80% of vehicles sold over the past 15 years were engineered exclusively for E5 or E10 petrol. If your car was built before April 2023, it was not built to handle E20. Ethanol is a powerful solvent and a moisture absorber. When you force to put E20 on an older car, the ethanol literally attacks the rubber seals and fuel lines, causing them to swell and crack much faster than their normal lifespan. Ethanol has much lower lubricity than petrol. Your fuel pump relies on petrol for lubrication, so running E20 causes faster internal wear, leading to fuel pump failures that can cost you up to 35,000 to replace. The ECU of the car gets confused and slowly degrades your car engine over a few years. Here comes the second part. You are being robbed at the fuel pump. Ethanol has 30% less energy density than pure petrol. By mixing 20% ethanol into the fuel, you are getting less energy per liter, which results in a confirmed mileage drop of 2% to 5% across all cars. You are paying the exact same high petrol price and full excise duty for a fuel that gives you less mileage. But the biggest crisis is environment. The government says ethanol is green. Is it? No. Ethanol is largely produced from sugarcane and rice. Sugarcane is an incredibly water-intensive crop. It takes approximately 3000 liters of water to produce just 1 liter of sugarcane ethanol. If they use rice, it takes over 10,000 liters of water to produce 1 liter of ethanol. India is facing a severe nationwide water and groundwater crisis. In states like Maharashtra and Karnataka, drinking water is already scarce. Yet, because the government offers massive financial incentives to sugar mills and ethanol producers, farmers are draining our precious groundwater to grow fuel for cars instead of food for people. So, let us get this right. The government will seize your car if you install an upgraded, high-quality aftermarket suspension because it alters the manufacturer's specification. But the same government will force you to pour E20 solvent into your older engines, permanently damaging the manufacturer's fuel system, lowering your mileage, and draining the nation's drinking water. The double standard is incredible. However, to be completely fair to the traffic police and RTOs, we must look at why modification ban exists from their perspective. In January 2019, the Supreme Court of India passed a massive judgment interpreting Section 52 of the Motor Vehicle Act. The judges ruled that absolutely no motor vehicle can be altered in a way that changes the original specification made by the manufacturer. If a detail is printed on your RC, it cannot be fundamentally changed. The crackdown was immediate and brutal. You cannot swap your factory engine on a high-performance engine without prior testing and permission. You cannot chop the roof of a sedan to make it convertible. You cannot add a loud, free-flow exhaust systems. The penalty for structural modification ranges from heavy fines of up to 50,000 to the total cancellation of your vehicle's registration. It sounds harsh, but the police and transport authorities have a very valid engineering argument here. Car companies spend millions of dollars testing a vehicle's structural integrity. They design specific crumple zones that absorb energy during a crash. When a local, uncertified garage cuts the main chassis or removes a load-bearing pillar to install a fake sunroof, they destroy the car crash safety. If the modified car gets into accident, the passenger has zero protection. Then there is a performance imbalance. If a teenager drops a massive engine into a small hatchback but does not upgrade the brakes or suspension to handle the extra weight and speed, the car can become missile on the public roads. Finally, there is a local pollution factor. Aftermarket free-flow exhausts often remove the catalytic converters completely. This causes a massive spike in toxic carbon monoxide emissions, combined with the loud noise of pressure horns that easily cross the legal limit of 100 decibels. The police simply do not have the manpower or the technology to stand on the side of the road and test whether every modded vehicle is safe or not. So, the Supreme Court decided that a blanket ban was the only way to protect the public. But here is the dark side of the blanket ban. The government thinks they are only punishing street racers. In reality, they are destroying the lives of working class. Car modification is not just about rich enthusiasts wanting louder exhaust. For thousands of people in India, car modification is literally foundation of their business. Look at the mobile commercial sector. Every food truck, mobile ATM and mobile clinic on Indian streets is heavily modified vehicle. Indian fabricators take standard commercial chassis like Tata Ace or Mahindra Bolero pickup and completely alter their structure. They weld in heavy stainless steel commercial kitchens, cut holes for massive chimneys, and install deep freezers and heavy electrical wiring directly onto the chassis. A standard mild steel food truck modification can cost around 2 lakh to 4 lakh. This allows a poor entrepreneur to start a restaurant without paying massive rent for a brick building. But because structural modification laws are so strict and confusing, these working class owners constantly live in fear that police might seize their food truck because the chassis was illegally altered. There is even bigger crisis happening right now in electric vehicle retrofitting industry. India has severe vehicle scrappage law. When a petrol or diesel car reaches 10 or 15 years of age, it is forced off the road to reduce pollution. This destroys the wealth of middle class families. But brilliant Indian startups have created EV conversion kits. They remove the older petrol engines and replace it with clean electric motor and lithium-ion battery. This lowers the running cost of the car to just 1 rupee per kilometer. and saves the vehicle from the junkyard. These startups actually get their kits tested by government agencies like ARAI. But despite being eco-friendly, they are struggling to survive because of the RTO rules. In early 2026, EV retrofitting startup owners spoke about their struggles. Nikhil Khurana, the head of Folk Motors, explained that without a clear formal regulatory framework from the government, their production volume simply cannot scale. Even worse, the tax system is completely unbalanced. If you buy a brand new EV from a massive corporation, the government charges you a minimal 5% GST. But if you go to a local Indian startup to retrofit your old car to save the environment, the government slaps you with a massive 18% GST, making the business almost impossible to run. The blanket ban on modifications is holding back Indian innovation. So how do we fix this? How does the government keep the chaotic streets of India safe, but still allow enthusiasts and business to build custom cars? The answer already exists. We just need to implement it. Instead of complaining, here is a complete 3-step blueprint the Indian government can use to formally legalize, control and heavily tax the car modification industry. Step 1. Upstream component certification. The government already has a world-class testing agencies like Automotive Research Association of India or ARAI. Currently, they mostly test cars for massive manufacturers. The government should open a new division purely for aftermarket parts. If a local Indian factory wants to sell a custom suspension system or a performance exhaust, they must send a physical prototype to ARAI. ARAI tests for safety, durability and emission. If it passes, the part gets a unique government certification code. If anyone is caught selling or installing an uncertified structural part, they may face massive criminal charges. This immediately kills the black market of cheap, dangerous imported parts and guarantees that consumers are only buying high quality, Make in India certified gear. Step 2. The Modification Vehicle Fitness Certificate. Once a driver installs these certified parts, they cannot just drive away. They must take their modified cars to a government authorized automated testing station. India already uses fitness certificates for commercial trucks. We need a specialized versions for modified private cars. The testing agencies will put the car on a computer to test the braking geometry, chassis alignment, and use gas analyzers to ensure the new exhaust meet Bharat stage emission norms. If the car passes, the owner is issued a special modified vehicle fitness certificate that is digitally linked to the National Vahan database. The best part is the car owner pays for the test out of their own pocket. The government does not spend a single rupee. In fact, the state makes a massive profit from testing fees, just like they do in Germany and Japan. Step 3. Privatizing the risk through insurance. This is the ultimate secret weapon used by United Kingdom. In the UK, you are legally required to declare every single modifications to your car insurance provider. India should also implement this law immediately. Insurance companies use incredibly advanced mathematics to calculate risk. If you declare a safe ARAI certified modifications, your premium goes up slightly. But if you try to insure a widely dangerous, poorly built car, the insurance company will simply refuse to cover you. In India, it is illegal to drive without insurance. By forcing modifications through the insurance sectors, the free market naturally removes dangerous cars from the road. And if a driver hides their modifications and gets into a crash, the insurance claim is instantly cancelled. The government doesn't even need to use the police. The financial fears of losing insurance will force people to follow the rules. By shifting from a cultural blind prohibition to a cultural strict regulation, everyone wins. The police get safer roads and quieter streets because dangerous parts are heavily filtered out. The government unlocks a brand new multi-billion-dollar tax streams by collecting GST on premium aftermarket parts and testing fees. Millions of young engineers and mechanics get high-paying formal jobs in specified fabrication and testing. We can stop draining our groundwater for ethanol. And finally, give the Indian car enthusiasts the freedom to legal and safely build their cars of their dreams. India has the talent, the infrastructure and the market size to be global powerhouse in the automotive aftermarket. All it takes is the courage to rewrite rules.
From the garage floor where the blueprints bled, now 1 million strong marching straight ahead. This ain't just metal, it's a nation's soul, taking back the future, making us whole. We build with pride and we engineer the dream, igniting a new unstoppable creative stream. So let the new regulations pave the way. This is the future we're building today.